نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم. We introduced yesterday the masla of muhadhat to you. And muhadhat in simple words means there's a masla actually particular to the Hanafi madhab. Before we do it in the kitab, I'll just say to you briefly, if a woman stands next to a man, whilst the man is following the imam, and he stands so close, the woman stands so close that there's no barrier between them, or there's a gap so small that a person cannot pass through. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing, they are reading the same salat. Not like this man is reading Zohar namaz, she's reading a sunnat namaz, or she's reading a qadha namaz. They are both following the imam in the same salat. Second thing. Third thing, the imam made intention for her, that he's making intention that the woman is making intention is also leading the woman in salat, right? And the fourth thing is she's baligha, or she's close to baligha. Then that will nullify a man's salat, right? Are you with me? Read from there, Bismillah. Tafadhal, read from there. Right, see, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَإِنْ هَذَتْهُ يعني وَإِنْ هَذَتِ الْمُصَلِّ إِمْرَأَةٌ. If a woman stood next to a man, right? First thing, and I can explain to you this here, that there's no barrier between them. If there's a gap bigger than what a person can pass through there, then we also say there's muhazar, right? وَهُوَ مُشْتَرِكَانِ فِي صَلَاةٍ وَاحِدَةٍ وَهُمَا مُشْتَرِكَانِ فِي صَلَاةٍ. And they two are partners in one salat. They partners in the same salat. فَسَدَتْ صَلَاتُهُ. Right? His salah will become fasid, right? إِنَّ وَالْإِمَامُ إِمَامَتَهَا. If the imam intended her imamah, that means the imam knew that there's a woman here reading behind me and he's making intention for her, right? Carry on. Right. So you see, in the Nahi Bar is saying, wala qiyasu, logic is supposed to be Allah tafsuda, that this man's salat must not become batil. Why? Because look here, two, three things. Why? Look here, her salat doesn't become batil, number one, right? And secondly, what crime did he commit? He never committed a crime. The woman came and stood next to him. And her salat doesn't be. So two reasons we can say, logically speaking, his salat is not supposed to become batil. والقياس, and qiyas is ألا تفسد, يعني ألا تفسد صلاة الرجل, the salat of the man. وهو قول الشافعي, and this is a statement of Imam Shafi. Why? اعتبارا بصلاتها, considering her salat. Look at her salat doesn't become batil, and she's the one who committed the crime. So why should his salat become batil? Right? حيث لا تفسد. See, her salat doesn't become batil, right? So his salat shouldn't become batil. But then we got what we call the wajhul istihsani. Istihsan means you go deeper than the normal logic. You go deeper than the normal logic. You don't just look at it as logic. You go a bit deeper. So read the istihsan there. Bismillah. Right. Wajhul istihsani ma rawaynahu. The deeper logic is what we narrated. And what is that? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Akhiruhunna haythu akharahunna Allah. That keep the woman behind, like how Allah Ta'ala has kept them behind. So here, it was the man's duty to ensure that the women are standing behind. It was the man's duty to ensure that the women are standing behind. So he failed in his duty to get the woman to stand behind. He failed. So because he failed in his duty, he will be punished. That if she came and stood next to him, he's supposed to demand the imam, etc., supposed to make the tartib, right? That he's put the ladies behind. So that we're saying, wajhul ihsani ma rawaynahu. The reason for the deeper meaning is ma rawayna, what we narrated. And in this hadith which we narrated, akhiruhunna حيث أخرهن الله وأنه من المشاهير. It is from amongst the famous ahadith. That means mashahir, mashhur. What is mashhur means famous. Mashahir means it is narrated in all the hadith books. It is narrated as Sayyida وأنه من المشاهير. It's from the mashahir. وهو المخاطب به دونها. In this hadith, Allah Ta'ala addresses the man. What's the amr? أخروهن. Which it is muzakkar. That you أخروهن, make them stand behind أخروهن حيث أخرهن الله. Like how Allah Ta'ala has kept a woman at the back out of the limelight. You, oh man, you also keep them behind. Don't keep them in the forefront. They mustn't be posing everywhere in the forefront. So وهو المخاطب به. He is the one that is being addressed به with this command. دونها, not her. فيكون هو تارك لفرض المقام. So he is the one who is leaving. فيكون هو التارك. He is a تارك. ترك يترك تارك لفرض المقام, for leaving out the compulsion of our place, and that she must be behind. فَتَفْسُدُ صَلَاتُهُ دُونَ صَلَاتِهِ. So hence, صَلَاتُهُ, his salah will become fasid, دُونَ صَلَاتِهَا, not her salah. Right? كَالْمَأْمُونِ إِذَا تَقَدَّمَ عَلَى الْإِمَامِ. Like if another masla here, if a muqtadi is following the imam, right? So the main thing you look at here is the heels, not the toes, right? Because sometimes somebody can have big feet, somebody has small feet. Maybe you got size 3, I got size 12, right? My feet can be behind your feet, but because I can be standing behind you, but because my feet are bigger, my toes can be in front of your toes. So the main thing is you look at the heels, right? So as long as your heels is behind the heels of the imam, we'll say that you're behind the imam. So they're saying, see, if a muqtadi stood in such a manner that his heels was in front of the heels of the imam, whose salah become fasid? Does the imam's salah become fasid? Or does the muqtadi salat become fasid? Whose salat become fasid? The muqtadi salat become fasid. Whose salat become fasid? The muqtadi salat become fasid, because he failed in his duty. He is supposed to stand behind the imam. So same thing here. What we're saying is that it was the duty of the man. It was the duty of the man to keep the woman behind, and he failed in his duty. So he will be punished in the sense that his salat will become batil, not her salat. Right? Is that clear? Just look at it again, internalize it, and tell me if it's clear. Right. Okay, carry on reading. Right. So the next surah is, remember I told you, I mentioned earlier, that she must be part of the salah. If she's not part of the salah, the imam did not make intention that he is being the imam of ladies. That means she's not part of the salah. And if she is not part of the salah, that means even though she's standing next to a man, then one of the conditions of muhazat are not found. So he's saying, وَإِن لَمْ يَنْوِ إِمَامَتَهَا, يعني وَإِن لَمْ يَنْوِ الْإِمَامُ إِمَامَتَهَا. If the imam does not intend imamataha, imamat, lam tadurrahu, right? It will not harm his salat, right? وَلَا تَجُوزُ صَلَاتُهَا, and neither will her salat be correct. Because why? She is thinking she's a muqtadi. She's making iqtida of the imam, but the imam did not make intention. So, for example, a simple example to understand this here, maybe some men were reading Salaah here, right? And there was no woman there. And our woman came and she decided to join the men. So that imam, he got no idea that he's got woman as his imam, as his muqtadis. That imam, he got no idea that is woman. So he don't make intention for the woman. So since he never make intention of the woman, they say, La tajuzu salatuha. A salat will not be correct. So here, in the next ibarat, they're explaining why, if the imam didn't know there's woman behind him, he didn't make intention for the woman, etc. Why? And she stood next to the muqtadi. Why will the muhazat must not be valid? Why? لأن الاشتراك دونها. Because ishtirak is being, remember we said there must be mushtarak, they must be joined together in one salat. لأن الاشتراك دونها لا يثبت عندنا, because ishtirak, being joined in one salah, dunaha, without her, لا يثبت عندنا, it is not been established according to us, right? So there's no ishtirak. dunaha, sorry, لأن الاشتراك duna refers to the niyat, right? So without the niyat of the imam, without the imam knowing that there are women following me here, لأن الاشتراك, without her, لا يثبت عندنا, it is not established according to us. خلافا لزفر, contrary to Imam Zufar say no, it is not necessary that the imam have intention for the woman. ألا ترى, so we say ألا ترى, here we're giving our proof to say why it is necessary that the imam must put the woman behind, etc., etc. Read ألا ترى. We say ألا ترى, don't you see أنه يلزمه الترتيب في المقام, don't you see that to make the tartib, right, that the men first, then the children, then the woman, etc., etc. This ألا ترى أنه يلزم الترتيب في المقام, it is ترى أنه يلزمه, it is wajib upon the imam, right? فيتوقف على التزامه كالاقتداء, so it will be dependent على التزامه, upon him making it, right? So in other words, this compulsion of putting them in their place, etc., etc., will be on him كالاقتداء, like how when you make somebody a muqtadi, when somebody wants to be a muqtadi, they must make intention, etc. Are you with me? Yeah. So okay, this is here. This is Khilafah li Zufar is actually, I explained this wrong earlier. Khilafah li Zufar here means Imam Zufar says even if he did not make intention for the woman, even if he did not make intention for the woman, still she will nullify his salah. Still she will affect his salah. Khilafah li Zufar, contrary Imam Zufar, right? Why? And so in other words, even if the imam made no intention for the woman to follow, or he made no intention that the woman must follow him, still there'll be no problem. Why? ألا ترى, don't you see, يلزمه الترتيب في المقام, that even though he made no intention for the woman to follow him, but still he's falling short in his duty. He's still falling short in his duty. He's supposed to put the woman behind. See, ألا ترى أنه يلزمه الترتيب في المقام. Don't you see it was wajib, tartib, to put the order was wajib upon him, fil maqami, in the place, فيتوقف على التزامه. So it will be dependent upon what is compulsory upon him, that he's supposed to put her behind, and he never put her behind. So even though he never make intention, still he will be punished, that his salah will be affected, right? So we say, وإنما يشترط نية الإمامة إذا أتمت محاذية. Now this is now like a separate masla here. The separate masla here is that when is it necessary for the imam to have intention for the woman, or under which circumstances will we say that the woman's salat is not valid without the intention of the imam? They say وإنما يشترط نية الإمامة إذا أتمت محاذية. Only when the woman is standing right next to the imam, then we'll say the niyat of the imam is necessary. وإن لم يكن بجنبها, right? وإن لم يكن بجنبها رجل ففيه روايتان. But say a woman is standing right behind the men. Then for her salah to be correct, is it still necessary? وإن لم يكن بجنبها رجل ففيه رواية. Is it still necessary for her salah to be valid that the imam makes an intention? There's two riwayats. You understood? You following there, right? والفرق على إحداهما على أن الفساد في الأول لازم في الثاني محتمل. So the difference between the two, if you look at the first scenario here, which we said that it is only necessary to have intention for a woman when the woman is standing right next to the man, right? So then, والفرق على إحداهما أن الفساد في الأول لازم. That if we say it is only necessary to have intention when she's standing right next to the man, then that means in that case, fasad will become lazim because she's standing right next to him. وفي الثاني, but in the second one where she's standing right behind, the fasad is not lazim. She must first move forward, and when she moves forward and she comes in line with him, now once she comes in line with him, now it will affect his salah. So it doesn't affect his salah immediately, but there is a possibility that the salah will be affected. You understood that? Okay, read the next ibarat. Right. So like I told you, وَمِنْ شَرَائِطِ الْمُحَاذَاةِ أَنْ تَكُونَ الصَّلَاةُ مُشْتَرَكَةً. So this mas'ala of muhadhat, where the man's salah is affected, is that أَنْ تَكُونَ الصَّلَاةُ مُشْتَرَكَةً. The salat must be one that is joined between them. Like I told you, the man is reading Zohr Salah behind the Imam, and the woman is also reading Zohr Salah behind the Imam, right? That's the first thing. It mustn't be the man is following the Imam Zohr Salat, but this woman, maybe she's reading Qadha Namaz, or she's making Sunnat Namaz, or she's making a Sunnat Namaz, but she's following the Imam or something like that, right? Carry on. And the next thing is وَأَن تَكُونَ مُطْلَقَةً. It must be a mutlaq salah. I told you it must be a salat of that has ruku and sajda. So maybe if it's just a janaza namaz or something and the man and the woman are standing together, it will not affect the salah. وَأَن تَكُونَ مُطْلَقَةً. And then وَأَن تَكُونَ الْمَرْأَةُ مِنْ أَهْلِ الشَّهْوَةِ. Then I told you it mustn't be a very small girl, right? The girl must be from that age where she is baligha, she's already in shariat, she's mature, right? So where she is desirable to men, right? Next one. Yeah. وَأَلَّا يَكُونَ بَيْنَهُمَا حَائِلٌ. If there's a barrier between them two, like the man is standing on one side and there's a wall between the two, or maybe there's a pillar between them two or something like that, then we won't say her salat will affect his salat. And in the Shara it is mentioned, even if there's such a gap between them two, there's no physical barrier, but a gap, such a big gap by which a third person can pass through there, such a big gap through which a third person can pass through, then that is also considered to be a ha'il. That is also considered to be a ha'il, right? Carry on. Okay, so in the next ibarat, what they're explaining, they're saying that in order for the salat to become fasid, all four of these conditions must be found. If any one of these conditions are not found, so salat will not become batil. Why they're saying why you must have all four conditions? You see, this is something which is not understood through logic. There is textual evidence that points towards it. When textual evidence points towards something, then you must consider all the conditions that is learned from the textual evidence as well. You must consider all the conditions that is from the textual evidence. If you don't follow all the conditions is from the text, or all the conditions from the textual evidence are not found in there, if all the conditions from the textual evidence are not found there, then we will say the masla is not applicable. So ma thabata bin nafsi la yathbutu illa bi شروط النسي understood as we're saying لأن عرفت مفسدة بالنسي. So this masa of muhazat, it has been understood to be a corrupter of the salat بالنسي with clear text بخلاف القياس, not something which we analytically deduce. فيراعى جميع ورد بالنسي. So we will then consider, right, all the conditions that has been mentioned in the text. If any one of the conditions are not found, then we will say that it will not affect the salah, like all four mushtarak salah, salatul ruku, the imam must make niyat, etc., right? Okay, that's a nice place to stop. We stop there. We can continue tomorrow, inshallah. Subhanallah, bihamdihi, subhanakallah, bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.